President Trump leaned into the culture war in his CPAC speech. He's throwing red meat to the base here. This is an interesting clip for a number of reasons. Here he is talking about trans athletes. Oh boy.
Joe Biden and the Democrats are even pushing policies that would destroy women's sports. A lot of new records are being broken in women's sports. Hate to say that, ladies, but got a lot of new records. They're being shattered. You know, for years, the weightlifting, every ounce is like a big deal for many years. All of a sudden, somebody comes along and beats it by 100 pounds. Boom, boom. Now, young girls and women are incensed that they are now being forced to compete against those who are biological males. It's not good for women. It's not good for women's sports, which worked so long and so hard to get to where they are. The records that stood for years, even decades, are now being smashed with ease. Smashed. If this is not changed, women's sports, as we know it, will die. They'll end. It'll end. What coach, if I'm a coach, you know, I want to be a great coach. What coach, as an example, wants to recruit a young woman to compete if her record can easily be broken by somebody who was born a man? Not too many of those coaches around, right? They are around. They won't be around long because they're going to have a big problem when their record is, we're 0-16, but we're getting better. No, I think it's crazy. I think it's just crazy what's happening. We must protect the integrity of women's sports. So important. Have to.
Donald J. Trump has no real opinion on this issue. That strikes me as very clear. And if you don't believe me, watch the clip over a number of times and you'll get that sense. I promise you, you'll get that sense. Because he was clearly told that, like, hey, bring this up because this is something that, like, people in the base care about. And that's a bigger issue now. So bring that up and talk about that and throw some red meat to the base. It's like, what do these idiots want me to say? Just tell me exactly what they want to hear and I'll bring it up and we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I get the reaction that's a positive reaction. I'll bring it up. And so he was told to bring it up and he brings it up and you could tell by how he talks about it. He's not, this isn't really in his wheelhouse. You know, like when he does the immigration stuff, that's more in his wheelhouse. When he does the trade stuff, that's more in his wheelhouse. Here he's like, he's got his training wheels on and he's trying to figure out exactly the lines and how to navigate the issue. And it's just obvious to me that he has no real opinion on this and he was just told to bring it up to throw some red meat to the base. And I mean, I think this is an important moment to explain what goes on with the culture war in this country. The culture war is used to divert you from all the ways in which these people are fucking you. Whether it's issues involving the Bible, or the flag, or religion, or Colin Kaepernick, or whatever it is, they bring up these issues to try to virtue signal, like, I'm with you on the things you think and are annoyed by, but then they turn around and they declare economic war on you. It's a class war. So this is the same guy who did a tax cut bill where 83% of the benefits went to the rich. This is the same guy who deregulated Wall Street. This is the same guy who destroyed the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's a bureau that returned billions of dollars to defrauded Americans. It cracked down on big financial institutions that were screwing you. He destroyed that. He rolled back the regulations on predatory payday lenders. In every way, this guy represents the billionaires, the wealthy, and the people who are really the criminals in this system. And then he turns around and uses issues like this to make average Joes and Janes feel like, he's a regular schmegular guy like me, and he's on my team with this stuff. See how much he hates trans athletes? I mean, it really is a pathetic thing to see. It really is a pathetic thing to see. It's a distraction so he can serve the establishment. And this, honestly, I can't even take credit for discussing this issue in the way I am, because this is like the whole point of What's the Matter with Kansas, Thomas Frank's book, which was one of my all-time favorite books and one of the first ones I read about politics. tale old as time. Kansas Republicans would bring up, pro-life issues and abortion, and the whole time serving oligarchs and plutocrats. Their policies benefit the rich and screw workers. But they would dupe workers by bringing up the social issues and making it so that, like, hey, you guys prioritize this stuff, right? And so they make it look like they're fighting for you in one arena, and then they totally screw you in the other arena. So this is what this is. He has no real opinion on this. He's never thought about this for a second. Never thought about it for a second. It's like when he went to, what was it, Liberty University or some religious institution, and he was like, 4 Corinthians walk into a bar, whatever the thing is that he said. He brought up a part of the Bible and just described it totally erroneously and absurdly, and it was clear that he had never thought about it or knew how to say it, or he's not religious, but he would pretend to be religious just to get the votes. And Chomsky says it. Chomsky says he's a superb con man, and it actually takes a high degree of skill to do what he did, which is, as he's continuing to fleece these people, also get their complete and utter 100% fawning support and adoration. So, but I will say this. If he uses this stuff moving forward, if he runs in 2024 and leans into culture war stuff, he's more likely to lose than win. Because the Trump that won in 2016 had to hit his stride on economic stuff. Now, he was lying and he was full of shit and he wasn't a real populist, but the rhetoric was there where people thought, oh, he might fight for us on that stuff, and so that's why he won. If you just lean into the culture war stuff, that's not going to be enough anymore. It's not going to be enough anymore. And if this is any indication of what he's going to do in 2024, then his 2024 campaign is more likely to be like the 2021, where he was sort of flailing and swinging and missing and couldn't really find the line of argument against Biden that served him the best. If it wasn't for COVID, I think Trump probably would have won, but COVID did happen, and so we lost. And so at a time when we have a worldwide horrendous pandemic, over 500,000 people in America dead, you have a pandemic, you have effectively an economic depression, you still have the endless wars going on, and this is the stuff you're going to focus on. I see the trick he's trying to play, but I'm not so sure it'll work because it's too insular and in that Newsmax, One American News Network, Fox News bubble. It's just not enough. It's not enough of a strategy to bring about victory. So we'll see, but Trump leaning into the culture war is hilarious and dumb.